Rinse takes your laundry and hand-delivers it to your door, expertly cleaned and folded. So you could take the time once spent folding and sorting and waiting to finally pursue a whole new version of you. Like Tea Time You. Or this Tea Time You. Or even this Tea Time You.
So did you hear about Dave?
Or even Tea Time You.
So update on Dave.
It's up to you. We'll take the laundry. Rinse. It's time to be great.
At Sierra, discover joyous deals on great gifts for everyone on your list. Like cozy slippers, ski gear, fishing poles, bikes, large kayaks, even larger canoes. Whew, which might lead to another discovery. Wrapping gifts is the only sport you need to stay fit this season. 'Tis the season to discover great gifts at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
This is Optimal Living Daily, the key to experiencing happiness by Brian Gardner of NoSidebar.com, and I'm Justin Malik. Welcome to the podcast where I read to you, covering mental health and self-help topics like mindfulness, happiness, productivity, and minimalism. And we're going to get right to our post for today as we optimize your life. The key to experiencing happiness by Brian Gardner of NoSidebar.com. Have you struggled with a people-pleasing habit you just can't seem to kick? Consider some ways you can use this habit to your advantage. It's rare to meet a person who hasn't struggled with people-pleasing at some point in his or her life. It's a survival tactic after all. It's how we learn to thrive in a world that is highly relational and interconnected. People who care how other people think and feel are better citizens, better spouses, better friends, better employers and employees, and just all around more enjoyable to be around. At the same time, you'd be hard-pressed to find a through and through people pleaser who hasn't suffered the consequences of the tendency. Focusing too much on what other people think, feel, or need without considering your own thoughts or feelings can lead to helplessness, depression, frustration, and self-entrapment. If we stop caring about what people think or feel altogether, we lose values like cooperation, teamwork, negotiation, bartering, and community that have helped individuals and tribes to survive and thrive for decades. There must be a way to overcome the detriments of people-pleasing without throwing out the baby with the bathwater. Perhaps the best way to put your people-pleasing skills to use is to change the way you think about people-pleasing in the first place. In other words, it might help to step back and ask yourself if the things you're doing to please others are actually pleasing them, or if you're just wasting your energy. And there are two basic ways this happens. The first way is to consider that leaving people unhappy in the short run might actually make them happier in the long run. For example, if you're in a team meeting and everyone in the group seems to agree about a topic, but you disagree, your tendency might be to just go with the flow. It might seem in the short run like the entire team wants that from you. But what if adding your contrary suggestion is actually better for everyone in the group in the long run? What if others in the group are sharing your same objections but don't have the courage to speak up? What if your objections are important pitfalls no one else in the group has considered yet? In this case, speaking up might seem like it's making people unhappy or inconvenienced in the moment, but weeks, months, or years down the road, you might have those same people thanking you for bringing up your concerns. The second way is to entertain the idea that what is good for us is often good for others too. When we assert what we want in a situation, everyone involved tends to reap the benefits. This is not the way we naturally think about things, but more often than not, it is true. A great example of this is the man who's miserable in his work, but thinks he can't leave his current position because he's too integral to the organization. He tells himself it'd be too disappointing to his family, his boss, and his coworkers if he were to quit. He stays for months or years, or heaven forbid, decades, using this same excuse. But the moment he finally admits what he's wanted all along, he finds that while his team values him as a person, they were weighed down by his lack of energy toward the daily tasks and could have benefited from someone who wasn't unknowingly dragging his feet through the workday. No matter where you fall on the people-pleasing spectrum, take a few minutes to consider how you might simplify your life by reframing the way you think about those people-pleasing tendencies. At work. Believe it or not, there are times when being in tune to the needs of others and quick to respond might make you very effective in the workplace. Of course, there are other times when people-pleasing can be a deadly habit, keeping you small and preventing you from using your gifts or even getting compensation you deserve. At the end of the day, the thing to remember is this. While a certain amount of collaboration is necessary to succeed in the workplace, oftentimes the most creative progress happens when we stop trying to be who everyone else needs us to be and just begin being ourselves. At home. It should come as no surprise that people-pleasing has a dramatic impact on our families and home lives, especially since this is probably where our people-pleasing tendencies found their start. Consider, for example, the very first person you were concerned about pleasing, your parents. Rather than trying to short-circuit the powerful paradigms and survival tactics we adopted as young children, perhaps the most freeing thing we can do is learn to notice our tendencies and even laugh about them. If we focus on perfection in this area, we're always going to feel discouraged or disappointed. When we focus on progress, on the other hand, we might see the changes we've desired to see all along. And in your soul. At the end of the day, fighting our tendency to people please is an intensely personal and internal battle. It's our souls that are at risk. If we continually sacrifice who we are in order to please others, we risk losing the most valuable assets we have to offer. Not to mention, we sacrifice our own personal happiness. No one better to stress this point than Anne Lamott, a brilliant writer who never would have moved the hearts of millions with her words if she lived to please her audience or if she listened to her many haters. It's possible to find our own power and passion in spite of people-pleasing. It requires getting reacquainted with that self we've hidden, discovering our feelings and needs, and risking asserting and acting on them. You just listened to the post titled, "The Key to Experiencing Happiness" by Brian Gardner of NoSidebar.com. I'll be right back with my commentary.
Thursday Night Football is on, and it's only on Prime Video.
Flips it for the touchdown.
This week, it's an old-school rivalry as the Las Vegas Raiders collide with the Denver Broncos.
This is a matchup everybody wants to see.
Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern with football's best party. TNF Tonight, presented by Verizon. Not a Prime member? Not a problem. Simply sign up for a 30-day free trial. It's the Raiders and Broncos. Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, only on Prime Video. Restrictions apply. See Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details.
When did making plans get this complicated? It's time to streamline with WhatsApp, the secure messaging app that brings the whole group together. Use polls to settle dinner plans. Send event invites and pin messages so no one forgets Mom's 60th. And never miss a meme or milestone. All protected with end-to-end encryption. It's time for WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone. Learn more at whatsapp.com.
Thank you to Brian. I thought it was helpful that instead of saying we should stop people-pleasing altogether, it's more of a reframing approach. The idea that what is good for us is often good for others is a great one because it goes against how we're typically taught to think. We often believe that sacrificing our own wants for the group is the right thing to do. But his example of the person who's miserable at their job is perfect. They think they're pleasing their family and coworkers by staying, but in reality, that lack of energy and enthusiasm is likely weighing everyone else down. That unhappiness isn't just kept internally as hard as we might try. It really does affect both work and home life. And then, on the other hand, if we are happy with our work or more energized, that rubs off, is contagious, and brings everyone up. So in that way, what could be seen as selfish, pursuing your own well-being, actually might be the opposite. And I think that applies to many areas of life outside of work too. So thank you again to Brian. Nice one to think about today. And with that, hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you tomorrow, where your optimal life awaits.